morning and welcome to the Ventura Center for Spiritual Living. I'm Reverend Bonnie Rose, and it's great to see you here today. Let's start our service by singing together our congregational song, and let us stay in that beautiful place of inner stillness. As we listen to the words, we're going to have our sacred reading provided today by Rose and Garrett. There you
go. From Spiritual Mothering by Alice von Hildebrand. You are called to motherhood right now. Not next week, not next month. I'm absolutely convinced that God has placed people in your path and called you to motherhood. Your task is to love those that are weak, unhappy, helpless, and unloved. Sometimes you can do this just by saying one word. At other times, you'll just have to listen. In every life, there is suffering. Most people keep it inside. When they feel loved, they will open up and tell you about their suffering. Then you will find that by carrying other people's suffering, your own suffering becomes lighter.
From the first Corinthians, chapter 13. Love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoice with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres.
Thank you. Let's give them some finger snaps. That's our way of saying thank you for reading. You may be seated now. Thank you. And so turning back within, and just resonating in those beautiful words, knowing that love is who we are. We'll sing together our chant of remembrance, remembering that divine stillness, that presence, that power. That I am is the name of God. That I am is the way. I am is the love. I am is the light. And as we sing together, we fill ourselves with the awareness of this I am presence that lives and moves and has its perfect being within each of us. We know it for ourselves. We know it for every single person in this room. And we become so full of this knowing that it radiates out past the walls of this center to embrace the entire universe, blessing all beings everywhere. I am remembering. Here we are with our attention focused on it, celebrating it, being it, living it. Let us bring that awareness into our open-eyed state as we breathe in deeply and then exhale, opening our eyes in love with what is, as it is, and so it is.
I come to the garden alone while the dew is still on the roses, and the voice I hear falling on my ear, the love of God as ever. No, none other will ever, none other will
Yeah, I can follow that. You got that. You got it. Oh, that's so beautiful. Dedicated to your mother. Don't get me started on that. Mine too. Oh, okay, yours too. Anybody else? Everybody? Okay. All right. Okay, we've already cried once, or at least once today. There's going to be more. We'll just, it's that kind of a church. We roll with it. Okay, so I'm going to start by telling you a story that I read. It's a true story, and it's about a gentleman named Sohaib from Pakistan. And he was a journalist and a writer, a blogger. He was a member of a large family. He had children of his own. And when his mother was nearing the end of her life, she was in the hospital, in an ICU, and he was summoned to the hospital. And he came to the hospital after working all day. He came in, he took his mother's hand, he leaned over and kissed her on the cheek, and she said something to him. And he didn't quite understand what she said. She was pretty weak, and her voice was very faint. He didn't quite understand what she said, but he was preoccupied with talking to the doctor and talking to the nurses to find out how she was doing, to find out how much more time she had left. The thought did occur to him that those might be the last words that she ever said to him. But still, he went on, and he sat down by her bed without really hearing what they were, but just sat down and held her hand some more. And he thought about their life together, their long life where he had been the youngest of 8 children, and she had given care and attention to each child in special and unique and wonderful ways. The care and attention that she put into their home, making it a beautiful home, and the love that she showed to his father who had some disappointments in the challenging political climate of Pakistan. But what were those words that she said? He asked himself, what were those words? Those may have been her last words. Was she asked, did she need something? Was she asking for a drink of water? Still couldn't come into his brain yet. He still couldn't formulate the idea of what those words were. So he reminisced some more. He thought some more about their life and how his wife had been, or his mother had been such a great hostess, that she had been sort of a hub of activity in their community and had people come over for parties all the time. And that she was kind of like a second mother to a lot of his friends as well, that they would come over and they would confide in her and she would encourage them. He sat with those memories. Still, what were those words? What were those words that she said to me? What were my mother's last words as she was slipping deeper and deeper into a loss of consciousness? He still couldn't remember. I'll tell you what those last words were in a little while. You know I like to make you wait. First, I want to talk a little bit about Mother's Day. So, Mother's Day has historical significance. It's been around for a long time. It's been said that the Greeks and the Romans in early times practiced some type of celebration for mothers. Early Christians did. It was kind of brought into focus in this society, in this country, by Juliet Ward Howe, who wrote the Battle Hymn of the Republic. And she wrote it during the Civil War. She wrote this proclamation for mothers, and it was really a call to peace, a call for mothers to understand that they had an important role in rearing sons that wouldn't fight with each other and start wars. The tradition was later carried on more by another woman, Anna Jarvis, who didn't have children, but she created the holiday in honor of her own mother. She was a little disturbed and that she felt that it got a little commercial, but I think she would have been happy with the song you just sang. So that's kind of a brief whirlwind history of what Mother's Day is. And then there's all of the other things that go into Mother's Day. It can be a challenging holiday for some of us, right? Some people had great mothers. Some people had mothers that were less than stellar in their own way. Some people wished to have children and never did. Some people have a lot of children and wish that they didn't. Nobody in this room, I'm sure. Some people have lost mothers or have lost children. And so all of this is stirred up within us on Mother's Day. But just because it can be a challenging holiday, it can be a controversial holiday, it's no reason not to celebrate it. Because there's this huge nugget of truth embedded within the principle of Mother's Day, and that is that we all belong to a divine mother. A divine mother, father presence known as God. And that mother known as God, that mother known as God, it nurtures us, it blesses us, it sustains us in so many, in a motherload of ways. Don't get me started, okay? Oh, goodness. So this universal love, this universal mothering, this universal intention of nurturing is available to us, but do we always partake of it? You know, Ernest Holmes said that the presence is always available to us, but the amount that we experience it depends on how much we're willing to partake of it. So how do we partake of this universal idea of nurturing and love and mothering, no matter what our situation with our mother was or is or has been or will be? One of the things to do is to notice the amount of nurturing and mothering that goes on in the world all around us. When I was thinking about this as an example of nurturing, something that I haven't thought about for years came to mind. I was thinking about a time, probably, it was before I came here, so probably 13 or 14 years ago, when my husband and myself and my dog and her entourage all traveled to North Carolina because she was a show dog. That was part of our agreement in getting her. She was a Vizsla, Hungarian Vizsla, and we had to show her. And we had to put her in a national competition that took place in North Carolina. So we traveled to North Carolina. We got to the hotel with about 300 other Vizslas. If you can imagine, you know, Vizslas are very high-energy dogs, so it was kind of a crazy situation. But anyway, we got to this hotel with the Vizslas and all of their owners. We put our dogs up in our rooms, and we had to go to this cocktail party prior to, you know, the beginning of the festivities. So we all went down, took the elevator down to the cocktail party. We're all standing there sipping cocktails, eating hors d'oeuvres, making small talk, and all of a sudden a fire alarm goes off. So the hotel management came into the room and they said, okay, all you need to do, you're on the second floor, all you need to do is go to these stairwells here, 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 and here, and all you need to do is go down to the first floor. So everybody went to the stairwells, here, 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 and here, and guess which direction everybody went? Up. Of course we did. Our dogs were upstairs. And there was no conversation about it, no discussion, well, I don't know, do you think we have time? Nope, everybody just raced up those stairs, got their dogs, and brought them down to safety. It turned out the hotel didn't burn down, but it touched me that we all just were of one mind of nurturing our beloveds. And you know, that's an example that came to my mind, but when I really open my eyes, I see examples of nurturing everywhere. When we look at nature, you know, we look at two little bunnies grooming each other, or a bird feeding another bird, or building a nest, or even the ocean just coming back and forth, caressing the shore, you know. We did this big event yesterday. We had a large event here with a lot of people here. Anita Morjani, who's a best-selling author, came, and she did a day-long presentation, a full day. We were here for like 9 hours yesterday, and it was a long day. But, when I spoke to Anita and her husband afterwards, she said, this is one of our favorite places to speak. And I know why. People love the building, but it's not about that. It's about the quality of nurturing that they get from our volunteers, from our beautiful congregation. So there's nurturing all around us, and we need to notice it. We need to see it, and we need to, so often we're focused on the opposite of nurturing, because that nurturing energy is of God. It is the divine. It is the power. It is the presence, and it is there for us. But again, how much will we partake of it? Will we receive it? And so that's another thing. We notice the nurturing energy of the Divine Mother, but we also must receive it in a multitude of forms. So, I have a confession to make. Occasionally, on a Sunday morning, I don't want to go to church. Anybody? Leap out of bed and say, okay, here we go. And I was having one of those Sundays. I wasn't even speaking. We had a guest speaker, and it was going to be a really easy Sunday for me. But for whatever reason, I just wanted to stay home in bed because I felt really tired and kind of depleted, and I didn't feel like I had anything to give. And so I worked on it. It's my calling to be of service. I really want to show up here and be of service and be a vessel and be used and be a source for anybody who needs whatever it is I can offer. So I did a couple of hours of meditation. That didn't work. I did prayer. That didn't work. I did mantras. That didn't work. I listened to my iPod to happy songs. That didn't work. Nothing worked. And finally, I was in my car. I was driving here, feeling like I don't want to go to church today. I feel too depleted. I've got nothing to give. And then a thought came to my head. Maybe you could allow them to give to you. And I did. I showed up. And the moment I walked in the door, I received so much. I saw Linda and Mia chopping up vegetables or whatever it is they do to make that hospitality that work every week. And I heard the singer rehearsing, and I heard the notes of the band, and the bass was particularly resonant that day, just really, really touching my heart. And we had the laughter that we have back in that room back there before we come out, where we all talk about the day unfolding and how we pray and how it's going to be. But the weirdest realization for me, this idea of maybe you're going to just have to let them give to you for a change, it was like any other Sunday. I was just perceiving it differently. I was recognizing the amount of giving that comes to me as I stand up here and think that I'm the giver. Really, all of you are the givers. Maybe all of us are all of the givers and receivers, because it really is one thing. So we notice the divine energy, nurturing of the divine. We allow ourselves to take it in. Is there an area in your life where you feel like you're depleted, where you feel like you're giving too much, where you feel like you're the only giver? And is it possible that that may only be a matter of perception? That just a little tiny shift in your perception where you get to be the receiver. And why do we receive? So that we can give. And why do we give? So that we receive. It really is the same thing. It's this beautiful divine cycle. It's a non-dualistic cycle that just is always flowing through us. But we get to decide whether or not, how we're going to participate in that cycle, in that divine ride. So we notice, we receive, and then the other thing is to recognize the ripples. Does anybody here ever feel like the work that you do is just futile? That raise your hands. No, I'm kidding. Okay, you just keep putting out effort, and it just feels like it's going nowhere sometimes. That certainly, in terms of running a church, it can feel like a glacier sometimes. And I think every job, particularly parenting, does that feel futile sometimes? I'm not a parent, but does it sometimes feel like you're not making any progress whatsoever, right? I was thinking about the ripple effect and small acts of kindness, and this story from my past came up in my consciousness. I was thinking about this time when I must have been about 5 years old, and I was invited to a birthday party. My little friend Elaine Gilligan who lived up the street from us. And, we grew up in a very sort of Mad Men, that TV show, Mad Men neighborhood, where, the kids my parents put us out the door in the morning and said, come home when you get hungry, and that was about it. The dogs all were off leash. It was just a very, very free environment. And so I went to this birthday party at my little friend Elaine's house, and my mother came with us because we were young. We were 5 years old, so the parents were invited too. And I noticed that my mother had the present for Elaine that I had picked out, but she also had a second present. And I asked her, what's that second present? Is that your present for Elaine? And she said, no, that's a present for Margaret, who is Elaine's little sister, who is 3 years old. And she said, this is just a backup present in case Margaret gets sad that she doesn't have anything to open. And so, wouldn't you know it, Elaine is sitting in this sea of presents from, 15 little girls her own age, and she's ripping off packages, and Margaret goes to pick one up, and Elaine's like, no, that's mine, and she takes it from her. And then my mother takes out her present, gives it to Margaret. Margaret's crying at this point, sobbing. My mother gives her the present. She tears off the wrapping paper and is filled with delight. And I'll tell you, it was like a pail and a shovel. It was like a 75-cent pail and shovel back in those days. That was such a small gesture, such a tiny gesture that my mother did for a 3-year-old. And yet here I am speaking about it to all of you. And it's a gesture that continues to ripple in my life. Yesterday when we had the Morjanis come, they brought their assistant. And so Anita came. Anita was the celebrity, Anita Morjani, and her husband Danny, who travels with her, and their assistant Melina. And we always give our people who come to speak here, we always give them a gift because we really like to give. And so we got them some, bath and body products. But I'll tell you what, standing in that bath and body store, picking out gifts for Anita and Danny, I thought about Margaret. And I said, wait a minute, Melina needs one too. She needs a present too. Not that she was going to throw herself on the floor and start kicking and screaming if she didn't get it, like Margaret did. But we gave her a gift too, and she was so tickled and so touched. Again, it's just this little tiny gesture that happened, let me do the math, 52 years ago. 52 years ago. Wow. What did I hear? Yeah. And so I say that as a word of encouragement. If it feels like the acts of kindness that we do, the small gestures that we make, the small ideas of nurturing that we have, if it feels like they don't make a difference, think again, feel again. They do make a difference. They make a huge difference. Because if enough of us are putting those little drops of goodness into this bucket, soon it overflows and it ripples out and it blesses the entire world. That's how the world changes. So often we're looking for that grand gesture, that huge thing that we're going to do that is going to set the world on fire, that is going to set everybody free. And really, the longer I study, the longer I practice, I realize that it's the little tiny acts of kindness and nurturing that make the difference because of this ripple effect. So think about your own lives. Think of somebody or something that could use a little tiny gesture of kindness. Think of the smallest thing you can do after you leave the church today. It could be just picking up a piece of trash. That counts. That's a beautiful thing. It could be giving 50 cents to somebody in need. That counts. That's a beautiful thing. It could be making a phone call to someone you haven't talked to for a long time. That counts. That's a beautiful thing. All of these things conspire together to create this beautiful energy of nurturing that truly is the stuff that God is made of. That's what I want us to know. When we look at the world, I've mentioned that we have to notice the nurturing. We notice the ocean and the ebb and the flow and how that's nurturing, and we notice the birds feeding their young, and we notice this and that, and this person giving to that person. What if all of that really is God? I'm fond of saying that God is not a person, God is a process. And certainly spirit becomes matter, but spirit becomes matter through a process, and that process is always evolving itself through spirit and through matter. So all of these things that we look at, the ocean, the church, the person sitting beside you, the person sitting behind you, the person on the freeway, Even if he's giving you the universal symbol of oneness. You all know what that is, right? All of it is the process known as God, which is the process known as love. That's what I got from yesterday, from listening to a woman who has been to the other side and back. We are here because we are pure love, learning to love. And that's the only thing there is to do. And so with that in mind, let me go back and tell you about Sohaib and his mother and his last words. He's sitting at the bedside of his mother. He's holding her hand. Her breaths are becoming more and more shallow. And it starts getting dark. And he looks at the sky, and he sees the stars, and the moon is starting to emerge. And he thinks again, what were those last words? What were those words that she said to me? I need to know what those last words were. And then all of a sudden, as his body stills and his mind stills, he remembers what they were. As I said, he had come in disheveled and a bit chaotic and a bit disorganized. He looked tired. And when he leaned over and took his mother's hand, despite the fact that she was dying, despite the fact that she might have been in pain or that she might have been scared, her last words were this: "Son, you look tired. Have you had anything to eat?" The universal language of mothers, I've heard. I wonder, that we don't anthropomorphize God here. We think of God as not an entity, not a person, but a process. But I wonder, is there a universal presence that is constantly taking us by the hand and saying, "My son, my daughter, have you had enough to eat? No? Let me feed you. Let us be fed now. Let us pray." And so we turn within to absolutely trust and know that there is one life, one perfect power, and that life is God's life. That life is the all of us right here and right now. It lives and moves and has its perfect being in every heartbeat, in every breath, in every thought, in every emotion. That there is never a place where God is not, because God is omnipresence itself. And this means that love is omnipresence itself. And so right here and right now, I connect with this omnipresent love, knowing that I cannot be anything but love. And as I know this for myself, I know it for every single person sitting here in this sacred sanctuary, because there is only one of us here. I know it for every single being, animal, vegetable, mineral, inanimate, anything, everything is that life that is God. It is all this oneness, all this power, all this grace, all this glory, all this good. And so I just revel in the pleasure of that. I revel in this divine grace and humility that we were sent here to earth to be nurtured and to be fed and to be lifted up so that we might lift others up. How good it is to know that we are filled with the love of the divine, that we are filled with the joy of the divine, that we are given so much every single day simply because we show up, simply because we exist. And what a joy it is to share that and to let it free and to set it free and to be it and to have it and to live it. I am so grateful for this powerful teaching, so grateful for the truths that have been expressed here today through all kinds of form, through words, through music, through fellowship, through everything that happens. I'm so grateful for the transformation that I know is occurring in every single person's heart today, in every single life. And so grateful for the good that is unfolding. Even if it's unfolding in unexpected, unexplainable ways, I give thanks for it, and I am grateful for it. I bless this spiritual teaching as I bless all paths to God, churches, temples, synagogues, mosques, ashrams. I bless atheists. I bless fundamentalists. I bless everyone, for everyone is part of this puzzlement of blessing that is unfolding here on this divine planet Earth. I bless that which I do not even understand, that which I do not know, and I stand humbled and in awe of all that is. So I'm just so grateful and filled with gratitude. There is nothing more for me to do than to just simply let it go. I let these words go into the mystery of the One. And together we say, and so it is.
And one becomes many. And so it is. Okay.
Okay, we're going to do this one together. I'll start it out. For years I would talk about how I wanted to change the world, but I always left it up for someone else to do. But then I finally realized that I needed to take a stand, and that by changing my thinking, I could change my life, and that's how I could change the world. So let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for joy. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. We are making a new world now. So let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. Let there be love. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. Let there be love. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love.
repeat after me. I am held in Spirit's holiness, divinely guided by wisdom, courage, and love. I am always connected. I see God in everything. I create joy on earth as I share my blessings. Thank you for my life. And so it is.